Adidevam Majam Vibhum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, welcome to this morning's Bhagavad class. We have got Vaikunteshwara Das, Sita Anandani Devidasi, Josh Pieska, Radha Padma Devidasi, Nimai Pandit Prabhu, Santanu Prabhu, and Sita Devi, I think from Hamilton. And there are more participants. You are most welcome to this morning's program. I hope you are all doing well in this COVID situation. I'm just recovering from this. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, it had its effect on me and my wife as well. So we're just recovering, almost there. So this morning we'll be reading about Dhruva Maharaj Katha, and most of you have been following. So we'll start with the shlok number 80, I think, 81. Deva Uchu Nainam Vidamo Bhagwan Pranarudham Chacha Charasyakila Satvadhamana Videhi Tanno Vrijinad Vimoksham Prapta Vayam Tvam Sharanam Sharanyam Naivam Vidamo Bhagwan Pranarudham Chara Charasyakila Satvadhamana Videhi Tanno Vrijinad Vimoksham Prapta Vayam Tvam Sharanam Sharanyam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The demigod said, "Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger." Translation again. The demigod said, "Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Dhruva Maharaj Dhruva Maharaj's influence, attained by executing devotional service unto the Lord, was felt even by the demigods, who had never before experienced such a situation. Because of Dhruva Maharaj's controlling his breathing, the entire universal breathing process was choked. It is by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that material entities cannot breathe, whereas spiritual entities are able to breathe. Material entities are products of the Lord's external energy, whereas spiritual entities are products of the Lord's internal energy. The demigods approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of both kinds of entities, in order to know why their breathing was choked. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution to all problems within this material world. In the spiritual world, there are no problems, but the material world is always problematic. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of both the material and spiritual worlds, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. Those who are devotees, therefore, have no problems in this material world. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate Chaitanya Chandramirtha. Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Devotees are free from all problems because they are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a devotee, everything in the world is very pleasing because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental, loving service of the Lord. So I'll read the verse again in translation. Deva uchu naivam vidamo bhagavan pranarodham charcha charasya khila satvadhamna videhi tanno brijanad vimoksham prapta vayam tvam sharanam sharanyam. Translation: the demigods said, "Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating. Their breathing process is choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger." Hare Krishna Mataji from from Canada or US?
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you.
Right, very well.
Hare Krishna. And once again, welcome to those who just joined in. Thank you for joining the class. And thank you to all the organizers for this. On this platform, we are able to share Bhagavad Katha, hearing and chanting. It's so great. So you must have been following, some of you must have been following all this Saturday morning class, Katha. It's about Dhruva Maharaj, a wonderful devotee of Lord Shri Krishna. This Katha is really very moving. He's one of the greatest child devotee of Krishna. And you know, at a very young age, he went to the forest to search for Krishna. And he was able to accomplish that. He had an audience with the Lord, maybe in Narayana form, and he was able to achieve why he went. He had some big material desire. But as you know, when he met the Lord, all his material desires eradicated, immediately disappeared when he had the audience of the Lord, which turned into just spiritual desires. He said, I was looking for pieces of glasses, but the Lord has given me such precious gems, which is devotional service, of course. So to get that, to get the audience of the Lord was not easy too. He had to perform severe austerities. And he is one of those devotees who was able to please the Lord with his austerities, his tapasya, in a very short time. I think it's about 6 months he did tapasya, and he was able to get the benediction. He was able to see the Lord face to face. So it is possible to get the Lord's audience, provided we are ready to sacrifice, ready to really get into our devotional service. There are so many examples in our scriptures, in Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, why did he decide to do that very severe austerity? As I'll just tell you in a very summary form what happened. Dhruva Maharaj, father was a great king. He was a king of the planet Earth, King Uttanpad, and he had two queens, Suniti and Surichi, and both had a child each. Suniti's child was Dhruva, and Surichi's child was Uttama. And they were about 5 years old, 6 years old. And one day the king was sitting on his throne, Uttanpad. He had Uttama on his lap. And this little Dhruva also decided to get love of his dad. So he started trying to climb on his lap and sit down too. But when Surichi saw this, she was furious. She immediately stopped him and said, you can't sit on your fathers. You don't have that right at the moment until you take birth from my womb. And that will take another so many lifetimes. So hearing that, and the king didn't do anything because he was more attached to Surichi and didn't say anything to Dhruva Maharaj. So poor Dhruva Maharaj was so upset. He was very young at that age. He ran to his mother, Suniti, and told the whole story. And his mother said, don't worry, and don't get very upset. You will be able to get a kingdom greater than even your dad, greater than your father. And he said, how can I do that? How can I get that? He said, you have to go and ask Krishna for it. You have to worship Krishna, and you'll be able to get that from him. He only can give you that. Nobody else can. So Dhruva Maharaj said, what do I have to do? Where will I get Krishna? Where's Krishna? So mother said, many yogis go into the forest to do tapasya to get audience of Krishna. So you have to do the same. You have to go to the forest to do tapasya. austerity. So Dhruva Maharaj, being such a small child, he was so determined. He was very determined to get a kingdom even bigger, greater than his father or even his grandfather. I hope you can hear me. So he left the house, he left the kingdom, he left his parents, left his beloved mother, and went to the forest alone. And you have heard he did tapasya, great tapasya. He started with eating very little, and he started eating leaves, dry leaves, and then controlling his breathing and all that. He did tapasya, and he had the audience of the Lord. He had the audience of the Lord. So the Lord said, yes. But before that, before he did the tapasya, Narad Muni heard this story, the great devotee of the Lord, Sri Narad Ji. So he went to see Dhruva Maharaj in the forest. It's easy for him to find him, of course. And the first he was so little and he was so determined. He was so determined. He told him, oh, Dhruva Maharaj, this is not the time for you to do this austerity and tapasya. And he gave some examples. There were so many yogis and who did tapasya for 60,000 years and so on. And still they didn't have the audience of the Lord. Just trying to discourage him and ask him to go back. Kind of testing him to how determined he was. But Dhruva Maharaj was really determined. He said, no, I would like to have audience of the Lord, and I want to get a kingdom greater than my father. I want to show my mother Surichi that I can achieve that too. So Narad Muni saw his determination and he said, okay. So he told him the process of tapasya, he told him what to do, and then he initiated him and gave the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He told him to chant that. He gave him the rules and regulations. And the Lord will come in, will come and give you benediction, he said. So Dhruva Maharaj did his tapasya. He followed Narad Muni, his spiritual master, very strictly, all the instructions. And ultimately, he was able to have audience of the Lord. And he was given the benediction and the Lord gave him benediction, as you know. Dhruva Maharaj, first he said, once he had the audience of the Lord, all his material desires disappeared. And he had all these spiritual desires. And he said, Lord, dear Lord, I am not interested in this kingdom anymore. I don't want it. I have got your audience. I have got your blessings. I don't want all these things. I just want to serve you. But Krishna or Narayana, he said, no, I will still give you the planet, Dhruvlok, the polar star. And the best thing about that is that during annihilation, this planet will not be destroyed. It will still be there. It's an eternal planet. So he was given that. Some of the very important points Prabhupada highlighted in this purport, I will try to go over them. Firstly, this material world is full of difficulties, full of problems, as you must have experienced. Everyone in the world experiences difficulties, problems in their life. Akama sarva kama va moksha kamudardi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita Purusham Param. This from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Srila Sukadeva Goswami Maharaj speaks that a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that whether we are full of material desires or spiritual desires, we still go to Krishna. Don't go to anyone else asking for benedictions. And once you go to Krishna, definitely your heart will change and you'll become a devotee of Krishna. But if you go to the demigods who are specialized in different areas, then you'll get those benedictions from them, but not bhakti of Krishna, no. And it is also said that their benedictions are temporary. No, it does not last for long. They are temporary benedictions, but Krishna's benediction is eternal. You'll get bhakti, and you'll do bhakti when you go back to Krishna. You continue that. So, benedictions bestowed by Krishna is always eternal, whereas benedictions given by the devatas are temporary. And Dhruva Maharaj was awarded Dhruvlok. And Dhruvlok, it was eternal too. It is never annihilated when there is devastation. To get to progress in our spiritual life, it is so important to follow the rules and regulations, the instructions of the spiritual master very strictly. Just like, and with determination, just like Dhruva Maharaj. Yeah. And you will see that you are making good progress in your spiritual life, in your spiritual journey. It's so important to be very strict. This is what our Guru Maharaj always tells us, our Guru Maharajas. And as I mentioned, this place is full of miseries. Also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gataha. 8:15 Bhagavad Gita. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary material world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So this place is full of miseries, we are all aware. And the best way to get rid of all these miseries is to go to Krishna. As in the purport, it said, Srila Prabhupada says, in the spiritual world, there are no problems. But the material world is always problematic. Always. Since the Supreme Personality of God is the master of both the material world and the spiritual world, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. So this material world is full of miseries. As currently, there are so many problems in the world. Is when you watch the news, you see this, the war, Ukraine and Russia, and then COVID. So many waves are coming, so many different varieties of this virus is coming. And that reminds me that when the the living entities were choking and have difficulty in breathing, COVID had the same impact on its patients. It mostly affected the lungs, and those who were affected by this, the first COVID that started, it really showed this. It affected the lungs, and the patients, they had very difficulty in breathing because it was affecting the lungs. So they were choking, they were suffocating. This is a similar situation, which this, although there was no COVID, but because Dhruv Maharaj controlled the air, so these demigods and the living entities were suffocating. So whenever there is a problem faced by the demigods, they always approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for solution. They go to the Chir Shagar, and there they pray to Lord Vishnu, to Krishna. And then sometimes he give darshan, or sometimes just sound vibration. It tells them that I'll solve this problem. Don't worry. It also reminds me the pastimes of Hanumanji. These suffocations also occurred at that time when Hanumanji went to swallow the sun because he thought it was a fruit, a red fruit, as advised by his mother. He flew. He was so powerful. He was a devotee of the Lord. So he swallowed the sun, it is said in the scriptures. And then there's problem, breathing problem, or before that. And when he did that, I think the demigods, Lord Indra, struck him with his Vajra weapon, thunderbolt. And it affected Hanuman. And when Pawandev, the father of Hanuman, came to know this, he just controlled the air. And there was no movement of air. And then everyone, all the demigods and all the living entities started suffocating again. They were choking. To solve this, then all the demigods went to Pawandev with Brahma and Lord Shiva, and they pacified him, and then he released the air, and then this problem was solved. So this happened several times, suffocation. So lucky the next variant of the COVID is not that bad. I didn't feel any of that because many of the people didn't feel it, this breathing problem. It's very mild, and we were able to survive. So there are these two personalities, Suniti and Surichi. They were totally opposite in their personalities and characteristics. Surichi, whom the king was very much attached. She was envious. She was very proud. She was hard-hearted. For a little boy who wanted to go to his dad and sit on his lap, she stalked him. So this is the characteristics or qualities of non-devotee. But on the other side, Suniti had all the sadhu qualities, devotee qualities. She was loving, kind, humble, kind-hearted. So if we all should be able to imbibe, we should imbibe these qualities of sadhus. Titikshva karunika suhrida sarvadehina majat shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushana. Srimad Bhagavatam. So we should, Titikshva means, I think, tolerance. Titikshva, Karunika means merciful. We should be very compassionate. Titikshva, Karunika. Suhirda Sarvadehina. We should be friendly to all living entities. This is one of the great principles that we have in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada taught us all living entities, not only humans and your family members, but we should love. We should be friendly, we should care for all living entities. Ajat Shatrava Shanta Sadhava Sadhu Bhushna. There are more qualities of a sadhu. So Suniti had all these qualities. She was devotee of the Lord. And we have to imbibe the qualities of a sadhu. And we are in the process. But it takes a while to be tolerant, to be merciful, and so on. These qualities we have to develop as we progress in our spiritual life. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Brahmana Brahmite Kauna Bhagavan Jiv, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Beach. So we are very, very fortunate in this movement, Srila Prabhupada's movement, that Krishna has favored us. We have been, I'll read the translation of this shlok or verse. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some are elevated to upper planetary systems, and some are going down into lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master. By the grace of Krishna, by the mercy of both Krishna and his spiritual master, one such person receives seed of the kripa of devotional service. So in case of Dhruv Maharaj, he was so fortunate to have Sri Naradji as his spiritual master. And by following the instructions and practicing it strictly, he was able to have audience of the Lord. And then all his material desires from his heart were eradicated. Just because he followed the instructions, and he was given mercy by his Guru Naradji, and of course by Krishna too. So by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we can make good progress in our spiritual life, and also we can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. I am sure nobody wants to be born again on this planet, even if you have a human life. We should all aspire to go back to Godhead in this very lifetime. But it requires our austerity, tapasya, and our sincerity, serving Vaishnavas, Guru, and Krishna to the best of our ability. So, by the unlimited of mercy of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, we must count ourselves to be the luckiest people on this planet Earth. He has given us bona fide spiritual teachers coming in the disciplic succession through Naradji himself. And this is the greatest benediction that we have. And we should do our best in our devotional service. He also gave us Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada is so merciful. He gave us Bhagavad Gita, he gave us Srimad Bhagavatam, he gave us Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and other very important scriptures to read, to hear, to understand, and also to relish pastimes of great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, and so on. This will help us in our devotional service. And Naraji is not a simple person. He's a bona fide spiritual master. He is the spiritual master of great people. He is a spiritual master of Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Vyasadeva. See, these great personalities, even Ramayana author, Valmiki. So, and he's pure devotee of the Lord. So, I would like to say that we are in the right process. We are in the right boat, Srila Prabhupada's ship. And we just have to work very hard, sincerely in our devotional service, following in the footsteps of the Mahajanas and the devotees like Prahlad, our own spiritual teachers, Srila Prabhupada, and great Vaishnavas definitely will be able to make it. So I would like to stop here and Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments and discussion? Hare Krishna, any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, and Hare Krishna to all of you. Yeah, very nice to know that we will go back to Godhead in this life if we follow the instructions seriously. That is this word is very inspiring to all of us. Yeah, very inspiring. Though we know, but we would like to hear again and again to remind us. This is very nice. Yes, we'll go back to go back to Godhead.
This is our great hope, yes. And yes. Prabhupada is there, our Guru Maharaj are there, and the devotees are there to help us.
Yes.
And of course, Nityam Bhagavat Seva is here and chant. You can read in yourself. Like if you don't have time, you have to go to work on the weekdays. It's difficult to get into this Bhagavad Katha.
Yes.
And then you do it yourself at home.
Yeah, sometimes we feel, we are hopeless, but if we get the inspiration from you devotees, yeah, certainly we will go back to Godhead. Yeah, and also Srila Prabhupada assures us. Yes. He will take us in the back door of that. If we catch his dhoti, then he will take us to God, go back to Godhead. Yeah, well, thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class. Yeah, inspiring class.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Yeah, you inspire each other.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Very nice class, showing us how to concentrate on our devotional service with the various examples that straighten us to make sure in our progress in devotional service. And that's how the examples you have given. It's very nice examples and assurance from Prabhupada how we can progress gradually and the ultimate goal to go back to God. It's nice examples from even through this Ramayana, how this Hanuman and pure devotee of Ramchandra, often all this, benediction. So it's very nice to know the examples from various scriptures showing us the right path to progress in our spiritual life. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hope everybody of us who is following sincerely would be able one day to go back to Godhead. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment, Prabhu. It's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his great disciples, our Guru Maharajas. You know, they are doing so much for us, conditioned souls. They are very merciful. They are going all over the world, trying to, help us, help all these conditioned souls to understand and then about life and then decide, okay, this is it. I'm suffering and everybody is suffering. We know that.
Yeah, that's right. And the example you gave about this, COVID. Yeah, people actually, if we analyze this COVID situation through scripture, we'll see, yes, it's so relevant with the scripture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tells us the same thing. No matter how much you are progressing in your scientific way or your material educational way, it doesn't help you. Only the help comes from one source, and who is the reliever of everything. And slowly these things fade away, slowly and slowly, because people understood the only way to get out of this is the last resort is Krishna himself.
That's it.
And how we can proceed to him through his ambassadors like our Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas. So we have to just catch hold on them, and through them only we can get the mercy of Krishna. And the same thing we can see from Dhruva Maharaj's example. So the source was Narad Muni, who is the greatest spiritual master sent by Krishna. And he helped Dhruva Maharaj to proceed to his right direction through his various processes of austerity. And finally, he achieved that. And he proved it. Yeah, it is only possible through the mercy of the spiritual master. No other way. No other way. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, there's no other way. We have to grab the lotus feet, get the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees, like our spiritual teachers. And that's the only way we can make progress and we can achieve the ultimate goal, which is back to Godhead. Just get hold of that and follow in their footsteps, follow their instructions to the best of our ability. If there are some discrepancies, they will just take us back, as you Matati said, from the back door, whatever. Just keep holding the lotus feet.
Yeah. That's the confidence. Actually, what happens in normally days, we move around everywhere looking for the source, but we are just bewildered by the various sources available, even we don't know which is the right source. And this way, we just waste our time. But if we direct our mission towards the right path, like ISKCON, and that's why Guru Maharaj used to tell us, never leave ISKCON. And that is the only source where you can reach your destination. No other source available in this material life. So make sure, no matter what happens, never leave ISKCON. So that point really makes me so strong feeling that this is the right source.
It is.
Yeah, one day the mission will be successful.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class. If there's no other further comments, then we can bring this platform to a close. Vancha kalpa trupyascha kripa sindhubhaya vacha patitanam Ananda Kuti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada.
His Grace Bilvamangal Prabhu ki
Prabhuji
jai.
ki jai.
Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare